Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our scenario is horror on the Orient Express. I will be your GM, and this is episode 91. Our recap will be given by Zane. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Zane?
My dearest Lara, so much has happened since we said our goodbyes at the airport, and I'll never forget your kiss and your warm embrace. I wish now I had not left you there to go on this trip of a lifetime. Things have taken a turn for the worse, my darling, and I fear I will not return to you. And if I do, I will not be the man you fell in love with. The trip started off normal enough, but things have started to happen, and guests have started having strange outbursts. Then one of my shirts went missing along with one of my fellow competitors, competition winners, Mr. George Tucker. When we woke up on the train, being stopped, and our carriage had been cut off from the rest of the train, we all tried to get all the remaining guests in one location. I discovered the bodies of two of the other competition winners, and they were brutally murdered, and both have a missing arm, one the left and the other the right. It didn't take us long to find a bloodied shirt, which seems to have been tossed from the train. As my luck would have it, it was mine. Already 2 guests have accused me of being the killer, and I feel like the others agree. You have to believe me, my dear, I would never do anything like this. If something does happen to me and people say I'm some mad, deranged killer, do not believe them. I would hate for you to think of me this way. George and a few of the others, Mr. John Highfield, Mr. Gary Rutherford, and a foreigner, Karen de Graffan, all worked with me to search the rest of the train. This is when we encountered one of the other winners, acting very strange. We held him down and checked his room. We found his true passport, and he admitted he was an imposter and had killed the real man he was meant to become on this trip. But he swears he had nothing to do with the new murders. It was at this point that our group split up. George, Gary, and a doctor, one of the guests who had accused me of being a killer, and I left the train to search what we believed to be a forest. John and Karen have stayed on the train to keep the other guests calm. After what seems like only a few minutes of walking, we saw a shape in the fog. I quickly stopped the group and pointed it out. We soon saw it seemed to be a man wearing an old military uniform, complete with a sword. Gary, who was a history teacher back in New Orleans, commented he thinks it's a French 1790s-ish. As we got closer, I plucked up the courage to reach out and turn the man to face us. But that was just it. He had no face.
Excellent. So I would like to go to that moment once again. That's where I'd like to start. You turn this soldier around, and he has no face. How do you guys react? Did you guys do sanity at that moment last night? Or last time?
Yes, I believe we finished with the sanity roll, yeah.
Okay, so you step back, and you stare up into its face, and it stands there for a moment, and then it slowly turns back around to where it was.
Has it got a mouth?
No.
Or ears, or there's no nose holes, or
it's as if there was like a bag of skin over its head.
How is it breathing?
Like a mannequin.
Are you all seeing this?
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't.
What
Doctor, can you explain anything? Like,
it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And all of a sudden the doctor says, wait a moment. Is that another one? And he points over, and just on the edge of the fog to your left, there is another one standing there.
the same uniform?
Same uniform.
facing the same way?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they standing like at attention or kind of like at ease?
It looks like they might be standing at attention. However, their guns and bayonets are on their side. So I guess that is at ease. They have their hand resting on there. They have the other hand resting next to their sword.
Okay.
In fact, I won't even make you do a spot hidden. You're starting to see a pattern here. On the other side, the left side, there's also one over there. They seem to be about maybe 20 feet apart, standing in a line.
And they're just to clarify that they're facing
Away from the train.
From the train.
Or they're not facing away from the train.
Where their face should be is not pointed at the train.
It's pointed away from the train.
Okay. Should we keep going on, or should we go back to the train? What are we thinking?
I don't know. I wonder if there's any more of them if we go the other way into the woods.
You mean go back up to the train and then
back past the train down the other way if there's more of them over there.
Yeah, it could be worth checking out.
I'd kind of like to know what they're facing.
Don't want to keep moving forward. Well, I'm happy either way. Why don't we let's say this. Let's keep going forward for a little bit. See if we can see what they're facing. If we don't see anything, we turn around and we go check the other side of the train.
Let's just be very careful. I would hate to be caught between whatever they're facing and them.
We're all got armed. We're all armed. So.
All right, but I
stick
don't
together.
like this one bit.
Okay.
I guess we're gonna keep moving forward.
All right. You take about 5 steps past the soldier, and you suddenly hear it raise its gun to this position.
I'm going to immediately turn around and start going back towards the train.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I think it's quite clear what's being communicated there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you immediately turn around and go back.
Yeah.
How do they know? How do they know we're there? That's.
I don't know. Hold on a second. Is there any like gravel or anything in the tree line, or did
There's
that
gravel
stop?
everywhere? Yeah.
Okay.
We're on gravel.
I want to take some and I want to kind of throw it while it makes a noise kind of in front of the whatever this is.
It has no reaction whatsoever. From where you're standing and you look over to the sides, you can see that the soldiers on either side of this soldier also are now in this position.
I'd like to take out my my smartphone and take a couple of photographs of one of the soldiers.
Okay.
Immediately checking afterwards to see if the photos actually come out.
Yes, they come out. They're a little foggy looking, but that's just the fog.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Are they
weird when you use a flash in the fog?
Do you think that they did that because we walked in front of them, or because something is coming?
No, it's because we walked in front of them.
Either way, I in front of them.
I say we go check the other side of the train.
I don't know. I kind of want to wait another couple of minutes.
Okay. You guys are standing there waiting, and I'll jump to the other two. All right. So Karen and John, you are in the foregone with Antine, and she looks very nervous. She doesn't know what's going to happen. The time is approaching. What are you doing exactly, or where are you positioning yourself? Whoever it is could come through the outside door, or he could come through the inside door, and you don't know which one. So whereabouts in the foregone are you standing?
I'm going to find the first sort of like set of deep shadows and corner that's closest to the inside door, and allow Antine to be closer to John, so she feels a little bit safer.
Okay.
And I believe we were going to leave her in the light, and John was going to be in the shadows a bit further back. And the idea being, once somebody comes through the door, I'll have the opportunity to, if I want to, step either in front of the door or push some luggage across the front of the door and sit on it.
Okay.
If whoever comes through that door comes through that door.
Okay. And John, where are you standing?
I'm sorry, Karen, did you say the front or the back?
The one that goes back into the train, the ones we came through.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know really the layout of the inside, so I'm just trying to stay somewhat concealed in that I don't want somebody to come in either door and see me. That's really all. I'm not necessarily like, piling baggage on top of myself and trying to hide that way. I'm just like standing out of direct sight, I guess.
Okay. So we'll say that as kind of bait or lure, that Antine is standing in the middle near the light, and you guys are concealing yourself. And she's standing, like, we'll just say dead center in the foreground, okay? Because you don't know which door somebody's going to come through.
Can you tell me, Tom, does the hallway, is there a hallway that goes front to back?
There's a way you could walk front to back in a straight line, yes. But there's mostly luggage piled up to one side.
Is it just open luggage, or is it in like little alcoves?
There's little shelving so that they can put multiple layers of it. But there are some big boxes and some small boxes, and there's trunks that you could hide behind, or
around the back of a box, just watching.
Right. There's piles and things, and
the hallway, does it run down the middle of the train car, or is it off to the side like most of the?
It runs off to one side. If you're facing the front of the train, it's on the right hand side.
Okay, great. That's how I was picturing it.
Yeah. All right. So she's standing there for a few minutes, and I'm understanding it, John, you are near her, and Karen, you are between her and the door going into the train. All right. After a few moments, you hear a noise, and at the back door, the back of the train, as I said, there is a little window there. You can see out the window and into the fog. You see somebody step up onto the train, and it definitely looks like a male figure. And he kind of quietly opens the door. And as he does, you see Antine turn around like this and look at him. So you can see him there, but he's because of the white background of the fog, you can't see his features. But he steps forward and he says, at last, Antine, I'm so glad to finally meet you. And she's like, who are you? Why have you done this? What are you doing? And he's like, I have been in love with you for so long now. And she's like, stay back. Who are you? I don't know you. And you kind of recognize the voice from the other passengers. And John, this is the guy that bumped into you in the cave, Mr. Wilson. He's about 28 years old. He's very good looking. I think that you understood that he also was a model of some sort.
Was this the guy from Australia?
He is from Australia. That's correct. So he says, I'm going to try to do my Australian accent. He's like, but I've done it all for you. It's all for you. You're the most important thing in the world. And she says, go away. I don't want to see you. I don't know who you are. and he takes a couple of steps towards her. Do you guys do anything at this point?
I'm seeing him so far back. I'm going to see how far he comes down that train. Karen's not going to reveal herself just yet.
John, you can.
I'm basically just on edge. Just if he makes a run for her, I'll try to intercept.
He suddenly says, "But you don't understand. If I can't have you, no one can have you. You belong to me. You're mine." And he takes another step towards her. Do you guys want to do anything?
How is she reacting? Is she standing her ground? Is she backing away?
She's standing her ground. She's holding her chest like this in fear.
I'm waiting for him to come down that corridor.
Okay. John, as you're looking at her, she's sort of fumbling with her dress for some strange reason. And before you can actually react, she pulls something out and goes, pow, pow, and fires a gun at him. And you're pretty sure it hits him in the shoulder because he screams and backs out and stumbles for a moment. And then he immediately scrambles for the back door and runs out.
I'm going to step up next to Antine and yell, "John, get him!"
Now, at this point, she's standing there and she's in absolute terror, and she just like drops the gun on the floor.
And as I get up to it, I will pick it up.
And you can tell that she's kind of gone into shock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She's going to hold her hand.
Now, I want to go back to the others.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys are standing there contemplating what to do, you hear shots ring off. 2 shots ring off in the distance. And you think it's coming from the train.
Do the react in any way to the sound of the shots?
Nothing.
Maybe there are soldiers on the other side, and I don't know.
We should investigate anyway. If there's a gunshot, maybe someone on the train's got a gun.
We should get back there.
Right. Let's go.
I don't know where that accent went then.
Yeah, so we start running back.
All right. No reaction from the soldiers as you run back. However, everyone do a spot hidden.
Including the 2 on the train?
No, just the people in the woods.
A 77 is no good.
I got a 63, which is not a pass.
I got 22, which is a hard pass.
Okay.
Just.
As you guys are kind of running back to see what the shooting is, maybe there's more soldiers shooting. You think you see somebody running in the opposite direction, away from the train and into the woods, but farther down from where you are.
Not going back the way that we just come from.
Right, going this way. And the person almost has an animal look. You can't see them clearly. It's just a silhouette in the shadows, but the person is like hunkered over as they're running.
Look, this way. I'm going to take off after that person.
Yep, same here.
Yep, same.
Because I mean, if they're running from the train, they're either going to be injured, or they're going to be the killer.
Yeah.
And either way, they need our help, or we need to stop them.
And if they keep running past the soldiers, we'll see what happens if you run past the soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win situation.
Well, maybe not for the person running for their life from the train, but
fuck them.
For a few seconds, you can hear crunching in the gravel from whatever it is that's running. But then it goes kind of silent. Sound doesn't seem to work very well. It doesn't echo. So it's either gotten too far away or it stopped where it was. And as you run forward to see what it was, you don't find anything. What do you do?
Where did he go? Oh, I don't know anymore. Where did they go?
So we can't see any like footprints in the gravel or like tracks of where it might have gone. Or
Do a spot hidden.
I got a 16.
8. Extreme success.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do find a place where it seems kind of obvious the gravel has been disturbed, and you do find a few spots of blood on the rock, on the solid gravel.
Whoever it was, they were hurt.
Right, and are the drops of blood going off in a certain direction?
Yeah, they seem to be going off kind of in a diagonal away from the train. So they're going both away from the train and away from you. By your calculation, they should have maybe crossed the soldiers. And with that, you suddenly hear what sound like muskets going off in the distance.
Oh,
okay. Let's run off that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Follow the blood and the sound of the muskets.
Yeah,
You're going to go towards the sound of the blood and the musket?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Towards the blood and the people getting killed.
For soldiers and not going past them, I think is.
All right. So you follow the blood trail, which is pretty obvious, and you come up to the line of soldiers, and the soldiers are kind of in this position at that point, pointing away from you, pointing towards the outside, and you can sort of make out a shape on the ground, maybe 25 or 30 feet away from you, a lump that's completely different than everything else. So whatever it is, if that's a person, then they've been shot.
I guess we learned what they were preparing to stop. Nobody wants us to leave here. Or somebody.
Well, I mean, like this whole situation, I mean, it's like there's a force field of soldiers with no faces, like stopping us from leaving the area. We're all blocked off. The tunnel is walled up, and the other side is a cliff. Like,
I don't know. Give me just one moment. If you would all just take a step back.
I'd like to look up into the trees using the light from my smartphone. Are there any TV cameras up there?
No. All you see when you look up is you see the tree trunks going up into the fog, and the fog is much darker above you, as if there were tree limbs and leaves up there. You just can't see them. You're definitely in a forest. The brightest part of the fog is ahead of you and all around you, the sides.
I want to know if we can get these soldiers to react at all without walking past them.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Like crawling or something?
I think maybe they've only got one default reaction, and that involves shooting people.
Okay, let's jump back to the other two. Karen, John, you are standing there with Antine. She's shaking violently just from the shock. And you've seen Mark Wilson run out the back door. There's blood on the floor. There's blood on the doorknob where he went out. What you guys do?
Well, I think I'll ask John to at least chase him to the end of the carriage. I've picked up the gun. I'm going to take Antine by the arm gently. I'm going to pocket the pistol, whatever it may be.
It's a Derringer. It's a Derringer.
Empty then?
Yes.
I'm going to slip that out of sight and just say, well done, Antine. Let's go see Henri. I'm going to speak to her in French.
Okay.
And start guiding her back towards her cabin.
Okay. John?
I'm just kind of a little bit stunned by everything that just happened. She's a nutcase if she just shot somebody for no reason. So I'm just if Karen's gonna walk away with her and the gun, Okay.
All right. Karen, you and Antine leave the foregone, and you've entered the hallway, and you're walking towards the salon. Well, you're walking towards the next car and then the salon. But after just a couple of seconds, Renee and Lars, and followed by Gonzago, because he's big and slow. They're running and they're saying, "What happened? What happened?"
Mademoiselle Chantine, she's been attacked. Chantal. It was Mr. Wilson, and he's run away out of the foregone. And I'm taking Chantine back to her beau, Henri Guillemette.
Okay, leave you at that for a moment.
Did
John,
I hear that? Did I hear that? Was I?
well, you're in the foregone for a moment. They've just stepped out the door, and I would like you to do a spot hidden.
Because if I heard the word attacked, I'm going to say something. 22 is a pass.
Okay.
It's hard, actually.
As you're standing there, you notice the glint of something in the amongst the luggage. There's a trunk, and somehow in the jostling around that, as everybody sort of jumped and moved in this few moments, the trunk popped open, and inside this trunk there is a red piece of velvet or something, and it looks like there is an arm that is wrapped in the red velvet, except that it's not a human arm. It looks like some sort of a sculpture, like a ceramic sort of thing, and it's purple, and you almost swear that it glows when you look at it.
Is there a name on the luggage?
There is not.
Are there other pieces of luggage like it? Like same style, same color?
Somewhat similar. However, this looks like a very old trunk. Like an old steamer trunk or something from a long time ago. And of course, you're just seeing what's on the top of whatever is inside the trunk.
Oh, so it's big enough to hold more than just the arm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep. I'm not touching it. If that's what you're asking, I'm not touching it.
Why are you making such a decision?
Yeah. No reason.
There's just a purple glowing arm. Why don't you just do that?
All right, well, let's jump back to Karen de Graffine. You are moving down the hall, and of course, a few other people have come to meet you. But there are noticeably missing people. Enzo Banuelos, he is not there. Oscar is not there. And Mr. I keep forgetting his name. Mr. Milton is not there. The others are all sort of coming towards you. What has happened? What has happened?
I'm just going to point back down towards the foregone, and I'm going to ask Faustino, have you seen Oscar or Enzo?
I have not seen Oscar. Enzo went outside to smoke.
Okay. Well, would you meet me in the lounge in a few minutes, please?
Oui, si.
See.
It's Italian.
It's Italian. And I'm just going to get Antine back to him, Henri. They're in Gs 5 and 6.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Henry, of course, has come at this point too. My Antine, what has happened? And he immediately, she like falls into his arms and he holds on to her. What is that? What has happened? And I assume you tell everybody what happened. John, what do you want to do? You've seen this strange thing in the thing, and it looks like an arm. It's like a severed arm, but it's ceramic.
Yeah, with all the strangeness, I'm just going to leave it alone and just head back to join the rest of the people. I'll just make a mental note, I guess.
Okay. So you don't rejoin them until you are entering the salon, and they've just, until you're entering the kitchen, where they're all taking care of Antine, and her husband's taking care of her boyfriend. George and Gary and Riley, what are you doing at this point?
We should go back to the train and find out what happened.
Yes.
Maybe we should follow the. If this guy was bleeding, let's follow the blood back and see where he came from.
Okay. So it takes you only about 5 minutes to get back, and you, in fact, discover the blood trail goes right back to the back of the car, the back of the fourgon.
Oh hell.
And that's at this point, everybody else is on the train, so you don't see anybody outside, and you think you can hear talking, but it's coming from the train.
All right, let's go.
Can I interrupt real quick? I'm sorry. I know I wasn't there, but just for my own sense of the guy that ran off into the woods and was shot by the soldiers. He's still there. He's like assumed dead.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right, so let's proceed very cautiously.
Yeah, so I'm walking in, obviously, with my my crowbar, kind of, I guess, holding it like a baseball bat, ready to swing if need be.
And I got my axe up like I'm in the Overlook Hotel.
Okay. All right. So where are you guys going to enter the train?
Through the back of the fourgon.
Okay. When you do, you can see there's a substantial amount of blood right there on the back the little balcony, and you can see it's on the doorknob.
Is there any red chalk?
You don't find any red chalk.
Hmm.
Did you go into the fourgon?
Yeah.
All right. Like it, I'll do a spot hidden.
I got a 20, which is going to be a hard.
I just got a regular pass.
Okay. Gary, you are kind of concerned looking at the blood. Riley and George, you are suddenly hit by a horrible, horrible smell coming from somewhere inside the fourgon. It smells like carrion, like a dead animal or something.
Oh, that is terrible.
I take a bandana out of the back of my pocket and tie it around my face.
Can we determine where it's coming from once we go inside?
It just seems to be coming from everywhere inside.
I'm gonna go look around for anything that's opened up or.
Yeah.
All right.
Making sure not to step in the blood.
Well, the blood seems to be concentrated right near the door. So once you're past that, there doesn't seem to be any blood. You take a few steps inside. George, you said you were going to look carefully. Do a spot hidden.
99. I guess I'm not looking.
Okay. Riley, why don't you do one too?
I do say it's mighty dark in here.
20.
Okay.
That's a hard pass.
George walks past it, but Riley, you look over and you see a large trunk, and the trunk is open, and there's something in the trunk, and that's definitely where the smell's coming from.
Okay, so I sort of stop George and gesture to Gary, who I'm guessing still standing at the door, and, and telling him, come on, and I'm gesturing towards the trunk, as I kind of walk over closer to it, and as I said, I've got the bandana over my face, and I'm holding it as I look over into the trunk.
Well, it's fairly dark because there's only one light in here.
Oh, I'm going to use the light on my phone again.
Okay. As soon as you do that, what you see inside the trunk is what looks like a corpse, a dead, long dead, and rotting corpse.
Oh, hell.
Curled up inside the box as if they got trapped in there and they died.
I'm going to make a sanity check real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, do the sanity check.
And I failed.
Ooh, I passed.
I failed.
Okay. If you fail, do a 1d4. If you pass, do a 1. Just take 2 points.
If you
I
failed,
failed and I took 1.
Same. Failed and took 1.
Then I can't give everybody. I can't. Then if you passed, you only get 1 instead of.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like,
You passed and you were more affected by it.
All right.
But I'm gonna gasp and oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a con check as well, because even though I've got the thing over my face, it's pretty. Yeah. I passed that.
Okay, so you're gonna throw up, but you don't throw up.
Yeah, and I
I
got an extreme
gag.
success on my con roll.
I'm sorry, what was that, George?
I got an extreme success on my con roll as I just barrel and talk over Riley like a jerk. I'm sorry.
I've just got to go and get a rubber. Hang on. That's British. But you raised it. I'll just point that out.
Sure, yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
We can only see from here now.
Oh, this is like that holiday in Australia when I asked for Durex all over again. You want a roll of it? A roll?
All right. Karen and John, you are now in the front of the train with a few people. Milton's gone, Oscar's gone, and Enzo are gone. They don't know about Milton, and they don't really know about Oscar, but Enzo was supposed to go outside and smoke.
Sorry, one thing. Is the doctor still with us?
Yeah, the doctor's with you.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute.
He's just like, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? It's just the way things off.
Bodies and
there's
murderers.
nothing you can do for him.
He's kind of in shock too. So as you guys are in the front of the train, I would like, Karen, I would like you to do a listen roll.
Yeah, that's a regular pass. 44 out of 50.
Okay. As you're standing there, and now Antine is being comforted by her husband. You're there with the other people. You think for just a moment that you can hear a baby crying.
Do I continue to hear it, or
Yeah.
there was a
Nobody
direction?
nobody else seems to notice, but you're hearing it, and you're not sure, but it might be coming back from one of the sleeper rooms.
Hmm. Okay, I'll ask Gonzago just to sit here for a minute because I want to see him. I'm going to ask Renee if he can find Oscar or Buñuelos, and then I'm going to walk back towards where I think I'm hearing this baby crying.
Okay. You walk back through the kitchen, and you come to the first the first sleeper car, and you're pretty sure that it's coming from Antonio Abella's room where he was staying, the guy who's tied up in the front.
Mm-hmm.
You're really sure that you can hear it on the other side of the door. It sounds like a little baby crying. Maybe more like a little kid crying, like maybe a little girl crying.
Hmm. The doors slide open, correct?
Yes.
I will slide open the door and look inside.
Sitting on his bed is a little girl, and she's in a dress, but she's leaning over like this, and she's sobbing into her hands. You can hear her crying.
Mm. Is she crying in French?
Oh, yeah, French. She's a French crier.
Sorry, French viewers. Pardon.
You know what? International word. I'll just say hello very gently.
She continues to cry.
Mm-hmm. What is your name, little girl?
Just continues to cry.
Hmm. I'm going to look down the corridor. Is there anybody else there?
No, but you do hear some noise towards the back of the train as if somebody is coming this direction.
I shall stay outside the door and wait for whoever that is, to come down.
Okay. And after a few moments, you see Riley and Gary and George and Dr. Weiss.
And then I'm just going to point into the room.
What happened? We saw somebody flee the train bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Do I hear somebody crying?
Yes.
Is somebody hurt? We already saw one person running bleeding. I'm gonna go run over there.
And I'm going to
Someone
put
get
my
shot.
hand across the doorway so they can't go blundering in.
Okay. And yeah, you see the same thing. You see a little girl. She's in a blue dress. She's sitting on the couch on the it's the fold down bed and crying into her hands.
Miss.
Little blonde girl with pigtails.
Where'd she come from, George?
Riley, do you remember the server that we saw?
Yeah.
Who kind of just disappeared? I wonder if it's another thing like that.
Yeah, looking at the I look at the girl. Can I sort of gauge from the clothes she's wearing whether it would be from our time or like more dated clothing, style of hair?
Well, it's definitely a dress, like she was going to a fancy party.
Okay.
So the date of it, you probably can't tell.
What about the shoes that she's wearing?
She's
Are
wearing
they modern
little
shoes, or are they little boots with hook and eye?
They're
things on?
little patent leather ones with a little bow in the front, like church shoes, Sunday shoes for little girls. She's got white socks on.
I'm gonna walk in there.
Okay.
I got his back.
I'm going to lower the axe. I'm going to kind of
Not into her, surely.
I'm going to sit. I'm going to. Here's Johnny. All right, I'm going to sit down down next to her, and I'm going to be like, Miss, little miss, and I'm going to like tap her on the shoulder.
Okay. The second you touch her, she stops crying. She pulls her hands away from her face and she looks up into your face. She has no face.
Yeah, cat. I know it.
I passed my sanity somehow. I'm freaking
I don't.
out.
Sanity roll.
Yeah, I passed mine.
I don't pass mine.
If you passed D1, just 1 point. If you didn't, 1d4, cut it in half, but at least 1 point.
Yeah. 2.
Well, you always get 1 point. So
I've
All
lost another one.
okay. And she's just sort of stopped. She's just turned looking up at you with no face. I assume, George, did you jump off of the bed when she did that?
Yeah, I'm scrambled backwards.
Karen, pretty much, I rolled a 0-8 on my occult, and she just steps back and breathes out 2 words: Helheim, Niflheim, and then she just starts walking towards the kitchen.
Well, another. I'm everybody out of the room because I'm getting out of the room and I'm shutting the door.
Okay. You shut the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to wait.
John, you are up in the front of the car with other people. Do a spot hidden.
Ooh. No, 67.55.
Okay. You're feeling hungry. You're feeling exhausted. You're mentally strained. I think you just sit down and.
Actually, I'm feeling, I don't want to say threatened, but I'm on edge. So at this point, I'm making sure I got my crowbar in my hand. I got it resting across my lap. I'll sit down with my back to the wall so that nobody can come up behind me. And at this point, I'm sort of on edge, and I'm just sort of watching everybody now because somebody here is a murderer, possibly more than one person.
Okay. All right. What are the rest of you doing? Are you heading now towards this the kitchen salon?
I'm waiting a minute, and I'm gonna open the door back up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do, yeah.
There's nothing there.
Oh, damn it.
I'm not going to make you do another sanity roll because you kind of expected that.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping for. George has lost enough sanity to be going a little indefinitely. He's gonna need some help later.
Yeah,
on.
Riley's definitely going to be doing a wee bit of the therapy.
Yeah, I hit that indefinite insanity threshold, but I'm just gonna walk back to the kitchen.
Okay.
Very cautiously.
I'm gonna start. I mean, I'm 1 point away from temporary insanity, but I'm gonna start sort of looking for concealed cameras.
Okay. Do a spot hidden.
I think this might be some sort of reality TV show.
How many do you have to lose to get temp insanity?
So temp insanity, you have to
5
lose
in
5
one
in
day.
one go. Indefinite
Yeah.
insanity is losing a 5th in between periods of safety.
Right.
Right.
And it's not like you're like a temporary insanity doing crazy stuff, but you're like,
Well, it means that I can send you a
you can
message
do
that
illusions.
says,
Yeah.
I've passed. I've got a standard pass on my spot hidden.
okay, you don't find anything.
They're really well hidden if there are some.
By now, you're all back into the same room.
I actually specifically went to the kitchen.
Okay, you went into the kitchen. All right, you're in the kitchen.
Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is take a long, deep breath.
Okay.
And I want to think back over recent events. And the first thing I want to try and recall, when Milton threw up, did I smell vomit?
I can't say that you did.
Okay.
Your shirt was messed up, though.
Yeah, and I now want to look at the kitchen, particularly around the sink where apparently he was. And I want to see if there's anything there that he could have thrown on it that was the same color as what was on his shirt.
Well, I mean, there's food in the kitchen. There's ingredients and things like that.
But is there anything that could be, he had to grab something and put it on him if he did that. And if I don't smell vomit in the air now, because there'd still be a taint of it, especially around the sink, I'm actually looking for something that might suggest that he faked it.
Well, it's definitely possible. I mean, within reach, there's a number of things. It was kind of brownish. There might have been something dirty in the sink at the moment. There's a few things.
But there's that kind of bile, kind of soury kind of smell that I'd be looking for.
Well, okay, do a spot. We'll do a spot hidden. It's really a smell hidden, but we'll do a spot hidden.
Smell hidden. Okay. All right. That was spot hidden. Smell hidden. That's a regular. Out of 65.
Well, you're not really sure, but there's definitely a smell coming from the sink. It's not as like it's not sour smelling. It's more metallic smelling, like coppery smelling.
As in cleaned meat.
Yeah, definitely a meat sort of smell. But you also notice that the inside surface of the sink is pretty dry.
It wasn't that long ago he threw up in it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I don't know what else I can do to look or smell harder for something specific. So I'm going to make a note of that. And then I'm going to pick up a couple of small knives, parent kite size, maybe a little bit bigger.
Okay.
I'm going to pick up a couple of those. And then I'm actually going to gather up some stuff. I'll send you a list in a little bit of fresh foods, things like salt, garlic, any herbs and spices I kind of come across.
Do a constitution roll for me, Karen.
Constitution roll. 07. So yes, I did pass that within the Constitution. Yeah, that's an extreme actually.
So you're not hungry or thirsty at the moment?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'll go and have some lunch in a minute, but
all right, what are the rest of you doing? John, you've told me you're sort of hanging there in the corner.
I'm going to start counting people.
Okay. In the room at the moment, you have Wanda. Well, first of all, do a spot hidden for me.
That's a 46. That's a normal pass.
Okay. You have Wanda Ziegler. You have Marissa O'Connor. You have Renee. He's there. We'll count Karen. She's right in the kitchen. Lars Faber is there. Fabian Weiss, Dr. Weiss is there. And Faustino is there. And there's some guy sitting over there in that booth. that you don't recognize. I mean, you don't see his front, you see his back, but it looks like he's dressed rather stylishly in a 1920s sort of garb. And as you look at him, I mean, you're looking at the back of him, he puts his hands in front of his face like this, and he sort of, and you hear him say, "What the bloody hell?"
Who are you? I'm gonna start walking over there.
As you do, he turns and looks up at you, and it's a rather good-looking fellow, and he says, "Where the hell am I?"
Where do you think you are?
And he says, "Well, I was on the Orient Express, but this looks quite a bit different."
Well, you're on the Orient Express right now. How did you get here?
And he looks at you and he's like, "I haven't got a clue."
What's
He
your
has,
name?
he has a rather thick British accent.
I walk over to him and I say, "What date is it?
What date is it?
What's the date? What year is it?"
It's 1923.
Yeah, okay. I just kind of like throw my hands up and I'm like, I'm done, and I just start walking.
I'm going to stick my hand out to shake his hand and say, how do you do? My name is Gary Rutherford.
And he's like, Rupert Hamilton Smythe.
And as I'm able to shake his hand, he's solid.
Mm-hmm. He says, "Now, what is this all about? Is this some sort of a trick?"
Well, if it is, we're not party to it. There are some very strange things happening here. People have died, and we have no idea where we are. The train is in the middle of nowhere. The track just stops in either direction. There are faceless 18th century soldiers with muskets outside.
And he's looking around very confused at the moment, and he says, "I think I might have been one of them.
What do you mean?
I think I died."
On the train?
Yeah.
What do you mean you died on the train?
Something grabbed me. I remember something grabbing me. And he looks at his hands and he goes, "My hand is back."
What are you talking about?
And he looks at you and he says, "It's a long story, but if you're talking about death and destruction and horrifying things, yeah, I've been there."
Well, you say it's a long story, but guess what? I have nothing better to do. Start talking.
And he's like, "Well, it all started," and as he says that, he fades away right in front of you.
That's going to be a sanity roll, isn't it?
Yeah, sanity roll.
That's gonna be a sanity roll for everyone in the saloon.
He,
2.
I have
He-
passed
he-
with a 13.
he sort of shimmers, kind of purple for a moment, and then he just fades away.
Now,
Yeah,
I just
pass.
shook hands with that guy. He was absolutely real. I mean,
I got a pass for that one as well.
oh, hell.
Everybody do a smell hidden again.
So if we pass, we don't
That
lose
really
anything.
should be a roll.
Oh, I got a
Not
3.
I got a 95. I'm a little deer in the headlights right now.
51, I've got a cold.
Riley, you smell smoke.
Oh, crap. Guys, I can
What?
smell smoke.
Smoke?
Something's burning. Karen, you trying to cook?
Karen will come out of the kitchen.
Well,
What?
from where you're standing, it does sound like it's coming from her direction. But Karen, when you step out of the kitchen, you can smell it too, but it's coming from farther down the train.
Now, I'm going to go grab a fire extinguisher and start.
Yeah.
That's a good
I
idea.
got my fire
So
axe
someone
and my
burns
fire
down the train, and we've got no other form of shelter.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go start snuggling up to some of those soldiers out there.
Yeah, they don't look too cuddly.
You run down into the sleeper car, and when you get to the second sleeper car, one of the rooms is ablaze.
I want to start trying to put it out.
And well, before you get to it, a man dragging two people comes into the hallway. You can see that he's dressed like an employee of the train, like Renee. And he's dragging a woman and a child into the hallway out of the room. He seems to have gotten them out safely, but not without getting severely burned. His hair is on fire. His face is badly scarred. His hands are completely burned. And
well, I'm going to take my jacket off and throw it over him.
All right. He sort of collapses to the floor and he's shaking in agony because, of course, he's extremely badly burned. Morgan, George, go ahead and let's see. Roll for you're trying to put the fire out.
Yeah, I have a fire extinguisher. I'm just trying to extinguish.
Let's just say that you use the fire extinguisher to put the fire out.
Whose room would this be?
This is Wanda Ziegler's room. No, sorry, other car. No, that's correct. Wanda Ziegler's room.
Okay.
But George, as the fire extinguisher blasts into the room, and you see it putting out the fire, when I don't know what you call it, the gas, the smoke, the whatever, sort of clears, nothing is burned.
What about the man who was on fire? If I look under the coat, is he burned?
Oh yeah, he's badly burned. He's laying there on the floor. The woman and her child seem to have gone somewhere, but the guy
Someone quick, get the first aid kit, someone, for God's sake.
Did we see which way the woman and child went?
They went back towards the kitchen.
I've chased after them.
I'm going to step into the room kind of a little in a daze, just kind of stepping forward, trying to, like, the matches. Nothing's burned. There's no. I'm just trying to find out what the source or anything. I don't understand how this could be happening.
It's as if the fire wasn't real, or it just vanished into nothingness.
I'm just gonna kind of just slump down in the room, just shaking my head. I don't know.
So Karen was outside the kitchen pointing to the direction of the fire where they went to. Did the woman and child show up?
No.
No, I didn't. All right, so now I'm going to
And
look
Riley,
at,
whatever you were chasing isn't there anymore.
Okay.
and I'm going to go find Renee. Renee Violette.
Renee Violette, he went out to see if he could find Enzo and Oscar.
Okay. In that case, is Lars Faber there?
Yes, he is.
Okay, I will go up to him first. I'm going to express an opinion that we may be here for some considerable time. Could he coordinate with Renee when he gets a moment to check on the batteries and perhaps shut down things that we don't need to have shut down, reduce our usage, taking out light bulbs and so forth, to make sure that the batteries remain preserved as long as possible?
He's like, yeah, I can do that. He says, but I also, I know that this is Lars, yeah. He says, "You know, I know the train pretty well. I can show you where the breakers are, but they're on the outside of the train. I can make them so that we can turn off the parts of the train we are not using."
Okay. Oh, the breakers.
Yeah. Almost immediately, scrambling back into the train is Rene Violette.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like he's been running. He's like, I have found them. They are dead like the others. Wait, now he's got a German accent. Sorry.
That's all right. He's talking to German laws.
He's like, I found them. They are dead.
One's missing a left leg, one's missing the right.
Oui, monsieur, how do you know this?
Oh, so now everybody thinks Riley's the murderer. Okay.
Might as well roll with it.
Karen just says, "Shice," and then goes to Faustino.
Is John, are you still just like sitting in the saloon?
Yep, just keeping to myself. My crowbar. Sorry.
And
What's
now-
that? You got a crossbow?
And Gary and I
He's got
are
a
still,
cross.
It's a crossword. I just got a book of puzzles,
He's just
and I'm having nothing to do with it.
Now, are Gary and I, are we still over by that room where the fire was?
Yeah.
Is the man who was burned still there?
Yes. And you can hear him, you know, he's actually lost consciousness.
God, is someone going to get me a damn first aid kit or not?
Just stop looking at him. He'll go away. None of this is real.
This guy's hurt.
None of it's real. None of this is real. None of this is real. Just stop looking. Stop looking. It will go away. Just stop looking. It will go away.
I want to check something. I'm gonna walk back down the train towards the forecourt, the foregone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're walking back towards the foregone.
Because I want to go in and I want to see if the corpse is still there.
It is not.
Is that whole case gone, or
Yes, there's no case there.
okay? And the smell's gone.
Yeah, there's no smell.
Okay. I'm gonna start going through the luggage to see if I can find weapons, just any kind of information on who might be not who they're saying they're meant to be and stuff like that. I'm getting a little bit paranoid about things. And I'm starting to kind of go, if people think I'm the killer, I'm not going to have any people, protecting me. So I need to start thinking about myself a bit. So.
Okay. Now, I want to point out to everybody else that Riley has gone off by himself.
Yeah. Well, I would have walked past George and Gary on the way, right?
Where did you go from?
He was.
I was next to you, Karen, and then I would have walked past George and Gary.
And Renee has stepped inside and announced that he's found the dead bodies.
Can I ask too? When you went off that list of who was in the room, you didn't mention Antine and you didn't mention Henry.
I'm sorry, they're both there.
They're both there. Okay.
Yes. She seems to be in shock, and he's comforting her.
Where's Dr. Weiss?
Dr. Weiss is there also. Faustino, I'm sorry, I'll go by last names. Gonzaga, Weiss, Farber, Violette, O'Connor, and Ziegler are there. Oscar, Enzo, and Milton are missing, but Renee has said that he's found them.
And can I ask, you did list the name of Renee being in the room.
He is now. He just came from outside.
No, I mean, when you went down the list before, you said he was in the room. So did he
He just
leave and come back, or?
Yes. Yes, somebody said that he should go and see if he could find Enzo, and he went out.
Like you say, George, nobody's sitting still.
I know nobody. But now, as I'm trying to make this body go away by not looking at it, do I spy Riley walking past at all?
Yeah, you saw him going immediately down the corridor.
Well, I'll call out, Riley, where are you going?
Well, he's already gone, so he doesn't obviously didn't.
If I heard him question me,
Nah, I'm gonna go run past him. Why can't anybody just stay anywhere? Damn it! Just Gary, stop looking at that man. He'll go away. I promise you.
so you're following me now.
I can't just leave the guy has been burned.
Just leave him. He's not real. And I'm just
He
slamming.
looks pretty real to me.
He smells pretty real. He smells like bacon.
Yeah, has he got a face? I mean, you know.
He's got half a face. The other half is all.
I'm staying with this guy. I don't care what you say.
In fact, Gary, do a intelligence roll.
I have passed the intelligence roll.
There is something about this guy's face that looks vaguely familiar, like something from a dream.
Was he someone in the dream I had when I was on the train? But I don't remember a man with a burned face.
You remember a man who wore a mask and gloves all the time.
Is he wearing the same uniform as
He is.
but he's not wearing the
It's
mask.
an old style Orient Express uniform.
Well, if that's the case, that he reminds me of the man from my dream, then I'm definitely going to stay with it.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, unless he disappears. I mean, if he disappears, fine. I'll get on with what I'm doing. But I mean, I'm not going to leave someone who's been badly burned. If the man's dying, I can't let him die on his own.
All right. Let's see. John, you're in there. George and Riley, you are down the hallway. Gary, you're with the guy on the ground. Karen, are you done in the kitchen or?
Yeah, I went to find Gonzaga.
Okay, you went to find Gonzaga. Okay, you found Gonzaga.
Okay. Mr. Gonzaga,
See.
I think you're one of the victims, or going to be.
What? What do you mean?
And I'll explain to him the chalk marks that were found, and yours was one of them.
But I am so fat. Why would they want my body?
It's big.
But no.
I don't know, Mr. Gonzaga. All I know is that you and Mr. Rutherford are the only ones left of the people who had chalk marks under them.
Oh, no.
And I really don't want you to be alone with anybody. And I'm going to ask John to come over. Hopefully he's heard the conversation.
I can see you from here.
Okay.
All right. So let's go down the list. What are y'all doing? John, you're still just sitting there.
Yeah.
George and Riley.
Have I found Riley yet?
Yeah. You've gotten back to the foregone, and he's there, and he looks like he's looking through luggage.
How many times do I have to tell everybody? Why are people going off by themselves? Why are you going? Of all the people, you should know better.
I'm looking for weapons and stuff, man. Things are just getting weird.
What do you mean? What? Getting weird. What do you mean?
Well, two more people have died.
Who?
And I tell him that Oscar and was it Enzo?
Enzo.
Yeah, have both. They're both turned up. Renee said he found them, and they're both missing the leg. Well, one's missing the left leg, one's missing the right leg, just like the chalk things. Someone's out there killing us and taking our body parts. And I point out that the case with the corpse has gone as well.
All right, start looking for. Forget weapons. Start looking for anybody who brought red chalk with them onto this train.
Okay. So
I'm
yeah,
gonna start tearing open luggage, axe if needed. If it's locked, I'm just busting everything open.
And just going through pockets of all the clothes and everything, and
Keep
Kind of just ransacking the place.
All right. You're finding underwear, socks,
Right.
folded up shirts, things like that. Do a luck roll.
I have failed.
So Riley, as you're looking, the most you find, it looks like you found something that belongs to Henry Guillemette, Antine's guy. You find a gun. You find a revolver in one of his his luggage, but you don't find anything weird or.
Is it loaded?
No, there's ammo, but it's not loaded.
Okay, so I look at the gun and the ammo for a little bit, just contemplating, and then I look at George and I say, "You a good shot?"
I can't say I'm a good shot, but judging some of the passengers' opinion of you, I don't think it's smart for you to have a pistol. People might get the wrong idea.
If someone comes for me, can I trust you to have my back?
Of course, I wouldn't have come to try to find you if I didn't.
Okay, so I hand him the gun and give him the ammo, and keep looking through all the bags and stuff.
Okay, Riley and George, you suddenly hear a woman's scream coming from outside the train car.
Can I look out any windows and try to see that any windows?
There's no windows in the foregone except in the back door, and it's not a big one.
All right, well, I'm going to go look through that.
You don't see anything. But you can hear it. It almost sounds like somebody's being tortured.
I'm going to go out there.
I'll follow him.
Okay, as you step out, everything is exactly the same way that it was, but you can see over at the tunnel, because that's the end of the train you're on, you can see that there are a number of things lying there next to the entrance of the tunnel, and the ground seems to be splashed red.
Oh, the bloody parts.
Are they arms and legs?
Well, you can't see from here. It's 50 feet away.
How many things can we see?
Can't really tell.
Okay.
It's just that since there's no bushes or big rocks, that it's got to be something.
Yeah, I get down and I start walking very cautiously over there.
Okay. Riley, are you going to go with him?
Yeah, I'm going to follow him.
All right.
I've still got my crowbar.
So you walk over there, and even before you get there, there is a considerable amount of blood on the ground. And as you approach, you can see the body of Enzo and the body of Oscar, poor little Oscar. One of them has had the right leg taken off. One of them has had the left leg to a spot hidden for me.
54 is going to be a pass.
39 pass.
Okay. Almost simultaneously, and this probably causes you to grab one another. You notice that in both cases, their mouth has been erased. It's just skin over their faces.
Okay, I'm going to do a sanity
I failed
check.
my sanity check.
Yeah, I'm doing mine. Holy crap.
What did you guys get for your spot hiddens?
I got a
Normal
39.
successes.
Did any of you get a hard?
I
No.
don't believe I did.
I failed my sanity check.
And I failed mine as well.
Okay, just take a point.
So I've lost
You guys are becoming
10
injured.
sanity over the whole scenario.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you lost 20%?
I have lost the 20%.
Okay. That'll tell me. All right.
Yeah.
I'd like you to do another spot hidden as you're standing there.
I failed. I'm a little just.
I passed.
Okay.
I got a
Riley,
4.
as you're standing there in horror, there's something lying there next to Enzo. It looks like a book.
The first thing I do is I point it out to George, and then I kind of go over it and using my crowbar to kind of try and see if I can flick it open or,
Man, is the woman still screaming?
No, you don't hear the screaming anymore.
All right, while he's doing that, all right, I'm made a power roll real fast. I'm suppressing the urge to constantly be looking behind me.
Okay.
I'm kind of just get that feeling like I'm being watched all the time, and I'm just trying to resist the.
So the book, it's not a very large book. It's blue. It looks like it's got a blue cloth binding. Like a book you'd find in the library. It's not very thick. And it's laying face down, so you can't see the title.
Okay. Can I flip it with my crowbar? Yeah. So I'll flip it. So
you flip it, and across the front of it in fancy script, sort of gold embossed script, it says journal. And that's all.
Okay, using the the bandana I had, which I'd covered my face with,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use that to pick the book up. And I'm just going to kind of just hold it kind of away from me a little bit, but I've got it. And then I sort of turn to George and say, what do I do?
I don't like being. I don't like being out here. Let's just go back with the others, and we can look at what's in there.
Okay. Yep, I'm with that.
Are you going to go back through the foregone, or are you going to go walk up to the front of the train and go on where they are?
I don't know. We should go check on Gary. Might as well go back the way that we came.
Yeah.
Okay. So after a few minutes, you climb back up onto the train and you start heading through the foregone, and you start heading into the thing, and Gary, you are there over this guy, and he's breathing, but he has.
Stay with me, buddy.
And you look up and you see Riley and George come into the sleeper car and head towards you, and in that moment that you look up at them, the body is gone.
I told you it would disappear. It wasn't real.
Yeah,
Gary, you're a history teacher.
pretty real to me.
Can you make something of this? And I hand him the book and I said, "Don't touch. You use the bandana."
It looks just like a generic sort of journal.
We found this next to the bodies of Enzo and Oscar, and their mouths are gone. Their mouths have been replaced like the soldiers, just skin, no markings, no scars, haven't been stitched up, just gone.
Well, okay. You using the bandana, then I'm just gonna open the book and just yeah. After many years, and at the request of my dear friend Theodore Hewitt of the Mother House in Arkham, Massachusetts, I bequeath my secret journal, which records my adventures during those precarious years following the Great War between 1923 and 1924. As a preface, I offer this warning. The things found herein are true and recorded to the best of my abilities. However, since I myself witnessed these things and in some cases participated in them, I cannot preserve them in a completely objective manner. Nevertheless, these records are dangerous and should be viewed with serious caution. The knowledge contained herein may shatter the reader's conception of reality. I have suggested to the Arcane Society that this record be viewed only by those with experience in such things and not by the casual reader. Dr. Elizabeth Keith. I know who that is.
Know who is?
Dr. Elizabeth Kate?
Yeah, Dr. Elizabeth Keith. I've got a copy of well, I mean her memoirs. It belonged to my grandfather.
Well, any of her memoirs talk about being stuck in a train surrounded by faceless soldiers with people being murdered?
Well, her memoirs talk quite a lot about traveling on the Orient Express.
They did not say anything about what happened in 1923.
No, there's no detail. It's all very it's all kind of cryptic.
What kind of doctor was she?
She was a historian. I mean, I met the woman. I mean, she was like in her 90s. And I discovered I had a relative. And he'd been with her, and I found out she was still alive and wanted to know more about it. And you know, all she told me was that my relative like had some kind of mental illness and hated music and took an overdose during World War II. And that's I mean, she was a very old lady. She didn't get to tell me very much at all, but I mean, this is there's no hint of this in the memoirs.
Well, maybe we should go somewhere private and read this journal.
Not anywhere private. Back with everybody else. We can't just keep going off by ourselves. That's how people keep getting killed. Everybody needs to stay together.
Yeah, I mean, this is reading history books is something I know I can do. Yeah, this is maybe this explains what's going on, because I sure as hell can. Yeah,
we found it next to the bodies.
Salon, and I'll have a look through this and see if I can make some sense of it.
So you guys are going to head back to the salon where everybody else is?
Yeah.
All right. So you arrive back there. People are a little upset. They're tired, they're hot, they're hungry, they're thirsty. What would you like to do?
I'm going to ask
Get a
Renee to
drink.
make me a sandwich.
All right. Well, Karen, when you step into the kitchen and you go to wash your hands, water doesn't come out of the thing. Blood comes out.
Interesting. Guess I'm going to find some baby wipes and tell the others, hey, there's blood in the tanks. She's where she's at here, she's just waiting. She's not letting Faustino out of her sight, and she simply asked for a sandwich. So if there's no baby wipes, she's going to eat her sandwich with dirty hands.
Okay. All right. So what are you guys going to do?
I'm going to grab a bottle of something and I'm going to pour myself a stiff drink. And I'm going to sit down and you know, I don't, maybe we should go back to one of our rooms to read this. I don't.
That's what I think.
If this is full of weird stuff and we start reading it out in here, it's going to freak people out. And
well, it's better than people dying. We're reading it in here.
What time on our phones? What time is it sort of now? Getting later by now.
Say by now it's 2:00.
During the day, okay,
Afternoon,
2:00.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So everyone's in the saloon.
Correct.
Let's put it this way: who's missing, if anyone?
The only one that you have not accounted for at this point is John Milton.
Okay.
Well, I am certainly going to relate my thoughts that I made to Mr. Gonzago, to Gary.
Okay. To Gary? Okay.
Oh, that he has a chalk thing of a head under his
Can you
head.
wipe it off?
We did, but it still doesn't mean. And Karen says, look, you know, when it comes to rituals, I don't know. It may interfere with what's going on. It may not. It may be a thing that's done and done. As far as whatever was done with that, it was just a precaution. Apparently, she knows a little bit about things magical and the occult and the arcane. She has absolutely nothing on mythos at all. So don't worry about it.
look, I just want to reiterate what I said just now. That if we find something in this book that explains why we're here, I mean, it's going to be weird. Right?
Why don't we put it to a vote? Let's put it to a vote.
Karen suggests something. Look, if we don't actually want to get out of everybody's sight, and I really don't want to, wait and see what happens, why don't we get to the walk area between section F and the dining and a lounge car, so we can be a little separate and speak quietly while we keep our eyes on everybody else. Is that possible?
Let me make another suggestion. Consider this like an idea roll. The train car is actually pretty long, because you got to feed all the people that come in here.
So we could just find like
you could just go to the other end of the
that's the problem solved.
Yeah, we'll do that then.
in the same room.
As long as we're out of earshot of the other people, that's the
Okay.
important thing. Just don't want to freak anyone out.
So the five of you are sitting at the, well, I don't know about John. John seems to not want to move from where he is.
You forced me to get up. Okay.
Well, you're thinking that it's just as safe there as it is here.
I sort of gesture for
Come on,
him
buddy.
to
We
come
You can still sit in the
look.
booth with your back to the wall.
We got a bottle.
Okay.
All right.
And what's got you so spooked there, son?
It's just that I've reserved myself to the fact that there's a lot of weird stuff happening, and I'm just protecting numero uno at this point.
All
Reach into the choir.
Would numero uno care to join us to maybe learn about a way to get out of this mess?
Yeah, if we can get out of this, I'm all for it. So yeah, what'd you find?
Well, it's kind of weird that I found this journal. Well, they found this journal, but I mean, I know who this is. I met this woman. You know, she was pretty old when I met her, but I was kind of related to someone who she knew, and it's kind of weird that I don't know. Let's just sit down and have a drink, and I want to have a look at this thing.
So when you say that, I kind of like pause for a moment and I say, you know, if you kind of knew someone, I also kind of knew someone who was on this train years and years and years ago. He was kind of like a friend of the family, not blood relation, but we were neighbors. And then I look to the other, Karen, Riley, and George, and I say, how about you three? Do you have any previous connection to the train at all?
Do I?
Karen takes out her diary and says, yeah, my grandmother traveled the train between the wars.
No, not that I know of.
Yeah, I can't. Nothing comes to mind here.
Karen, just to clarify, the diary is yours or is it your grandmother's?
She's carrying two diaries. One is hers, one is her grandmother's.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's a connection that might be important later on.
Okay. Well, look, let's have a look at this journal.
Oh, I hate that title.
On the Cult of the Skinless One and how it nearly destroyed us all. The first part of the journal sets the stage and tells of Dr. Elizabeth Keefe's travels through Europe with Rupert Hamilton Smythe from Paris through Germany and ending in Venice, Italy. It then continues. I think the real adventure began for us at the Café Florin in front of the Royal Hotel Daniele in Venice. 4 esteemed members of the Arkham, Massachusetts Society of Arcane Investigation approached us from across the square. There was Dr. Theodore Dawkins, a brilliant biochemist, and Eldritch Volkov with his dark, brooding demeanor. There was Anselm Vigo, a very handsome Italian, and the stalwart Frank Coates with his little camera. All of them were part of the inner circle of the Arcane Society, and I was delighted and intrigued to find them together so far from their homes. They looked older than I remembered, and a look of weariness upon them, and though they seemed happy to greet us, their eyes had become grey with experiences they could never forget. As we sat and drank tea, they told us how they'd come to England as guests of Professor Julius Smythe, Rupert's uncle, to attend the Challenger lecture in his honour. They could not have known that terrible events were about to be set in motion by a detestable man named Mehmet Makriat, plans that would endanger the entire British Empire, if not the whole world. From their perspective, Professor Smythe had been attacked by Turkish cultists seeking information on a mystical artifact. Badly burned and unable to travel, the professor enlisted them to travel across Europe aboard the Orient Express in a search for 6 pieces of a statue, the Sedevkar simulacrum, an object of such power as to render its wearer nearly invincible and to give him the physical form of anyone he wished. Once it was recovered, they were to take it to Constantinople and destroy it in the place where it was created, the shunned mosque. But this was a deception. It was not Smythe who spoke to them. They believed it was, but it was not. The diabolist Macreat, although clever, through clever manipulation and the use of dark magic, had taken the professor's form and voice, and it was he who convinced them to fulfill this quest that he himself was too cowardly to make. With such a thing, Macreat had plans to murder the king and take his place as ruler of the British Empire. Such arrogance, such hubris, such is the folly of fools. And so the members of the inner circle of the Arcane Society travelled, not knowing that their instructions were false, not knowing that their beloved Professor Smythe had been replaced by a fiend in disguise. Poor Professor Smythe lay in anguish in a Turkish fortification, the centre of the cult known as the Brotherhood of the Skin. Macreat's father, Selim, was the leader, and his cult existed throughout Europe in secret. Their mission was to spread chaos wherever they went. They worshipped chaos in the form of a being known as the Skinless One, and their methods were ruthless and horrific. It would have been enough for them only to have to deal with such a foe, but this was not the only danger that they faced along the way. While they searched in Paris, another monster lurked, one who also desired the simulacrum, but for different purposes. This was another kind of monster altogether, one that had existed from the foundations of the Byzantine Empire, a creature whom we shall appropriately label a vampire. He was a valiant Roman commander who lived in the period when the capital of the empire was moved from Rome to Constantinople. His given name was Tullius Corvus, but we had come to know him as the dreadful Count Fenwick. He had been the owner of the simulacrum from the 11th century onwards, and he used it to renew his beauty by offering it blood sacrifices. Its true purpose was beyond the scope of his knowledge, which was fortunate for us all. Our friends told us that they had done considerable research at the Bibliothèque Nationale de Paris, seeking to learn everything they could. They discovered that it was just before the French Revolution that Fenwick's depraved lifestyle came to an abrupt end, and the simulacrum was broken into 6 pieces and distributed by happenstance across Europe. It was in France that the friends found the right arm, and it is there that Fenwick found them. Fenwick had all the traits of a vampire, including its weaknesses. He could not travel by day, nor could he interact with people, but Fenwick wanted the statue restored, and these fellows were the ones to do it. It is from that moment that Fenwick followed them, wreaking havoc along the way, but also protecting them from the things that lurked in the shadows. Our friends told us also, just prior to our meeting that day, they had come under the scrutiny of another danger. A fat Frenchman living in Lausanne, Switzerland, the Duc Jean Floriès d'Essiant. This was a man who had explored every known tome of magic and used his knowledge for personal gain and comfort in an unending hedonistic quest. They never figured out his actual age, and he looked to be a man in his 40s, but this could not be so. He had been mentioned in the professor's 1893 journal, placing him at least 30 years in the past. From the description, the man had not aged a day. He was a sorcerer in every sense of the word. He even shaped a pocket of the dreamlands to his will, creating a shadow Lausanne, a nightmare where he reigned as the Jigsaw Prince, a name given to him by his people because he kept himself alive by grafting bits of their flesh onto his own. His original face he kept intact out of vanity, but his body was a jigsaw puzzle of flesh. In the end, this man was also a fool. His desire for magic was insatiable and ruthless, and this proved to be his undoing. Naturally, Rupert and I required verification of such an outlandish tale. Without any hesitation, our friends took us and showed us 2 pieces of the simulacrum they had already recovered, the arm and the torso. They were exceedingly strange. They seemed to be made of some kind of ceramic, like porcelain, but with changing hue. In the dark, the simulacrum became a deep violet, but when exposed to light, it turned white as snow. To look at it closely produced an astonishing illusion I can barely describe. A pattern of tiny arms or legs or torsos, depending on the piece, formed patterns within patterns and reproduced perfectly any marks on one's skin. It was my arm when I looked at it, and Rupert's arm when he looked at it. The friends were in Venice to hopefully recover a third piece, and they invited us to join their party. And so we joined them, I'm ashamed to say, mainly because we were bored and their story was intriguing. We had no concept of the insanity and horrors that lay before us. A long narrative follows in which Dr. Keith and her comrades travel the route of the Orient Express. In Venice, they recover the left leg. In Trieste, the right arm. And in Serbia, the right leg. All the while dodging the Brotherhood of the Skin, as well as other terrifying dangers. At long last, they recovered the head in the mountains of Bulgaria. She continues. The monster that was once Tilius Corvus now tried his best to take the simulacrum from us. He murdered poor Rupert and threw his severed head at our feet. He threatened to kill everyone on board. It was a hard fight, but in the end we prevailed and won the ultimate victory against him. Count Fenelic is no more. Once in Constantinople, the friends were captured by Selim and the pieces taken from them. They were left for dead, but they were rescued by another dupe of Makriat. He helped them form a plan to stop Selim, but once again, it was a trick. They managed to infiltrate the center of the Brotherhood of Skin. We stood in the shunned mosque, also called the Red Mosque. Selim Makriat stood before the pillar of stone, the pieces of the simulacrum arranged in niches carved into the stone. But as he came to the final passage, his son used the friends to cause a distraction. Mehmet struck his father down and took his place. The simulacrum reformed itself, and Mehmet Makriat merged with it. In triumph, he believed he would rule the world. He imprisoned the investigators, and it was only then that the full measure of Makriat's deception became clear, how he had fooled them into collecting the pieces of the artifact, and how they were duped into delivering them straight into the hands of the cult. He left them in a cell, along with the disfigured body of the original Professor Smythe. They now began to feel the full effects of the curse laid upon them by contact with the simulacrum. They were bound to die horribly, but fate was on their side. The investigators managed to escape and board the Orient Express bound for Paris and ultimately London. They knew Makriat was on board and in disguise. Along the way, they re-encountered their previous enemies. While rocketing through the Alps, the Duc d'Ersan transported himself on board, suggesting a deal with the friends. In exchange for the simulacrum, the Frenchman taught us a spell that if we faced a brother of the skin and held forth our hands and recited Ye Re Alma, that the spell would recall any physical exchanges the brother had acquired. Armed with this power, we soon located Makriat and used it. His bowels were turned from his body, and he died screaming in agony. But that was not the end of this monster. Shortly thereafter, as the Frenchman demanded the simulacrum be handed over, but Dr. Dawkins used his knowledge of anatomy to drive the serpent's claw, the mim sahis, straight into his heart and end the Frenchman once and for all. We pushed his body from the train. When we arrived in London, we made our way to the shop where Makriat had set up his headquarters. We thought we could shatter the simulacrum and save ourselves from a horrible death by recounting the spell of cleansing contained on the scroll we found. But it was another trick. The scroll we found was designed to call forth the spirit of Makriat from the ether and possess a prepared sacrifice. In the shop, we found a man, Arthur Bowman, who had been driven insane by dark visions and who had been prepared by a minion of Makriat. When we cast the spell, poor Arthur Bowman was transformed and became Makriat. I have included the spell below. Makriat laughed at us diabolically. It had all been part of his master plan, a contingency if we managed to kill him, and now he used his power to summon forth the most dark entity of all, the skinless one, the crueling chaos, the one spoken of in ancient tomes and called by the name Nyarlathotep. And he did appear. 9 feet tall and hideous beyond measure, our minds reeled from the sight of him. The ground shook with his appearance. a skinless god of flesh radiating power unimaginable. Makriat commanded the skinless one to destroy us, but he did not obey. Such arrogance, to imagine for one moment that a man could control an outer god. In his insane hubris, Makriat had forgotten a most important thing. He was not wearing the simulacrum. It lay stretched out on a table before us. As he reached for a piece, we saw our opportunity and did the same. He managed to don an arm and re-spoke his command, but the son of Azathoth is not commanded by mortal men. It seized Makriat and crushed him like a piece of paper. With a blast of blue light, it destroyed the pieces of the simulacrum one by one, crushed them in his mighty hand. And in that last instant of horror, the mind is seared in flame, the universe shuddered. The skinless god smiled at us and vanished. The magic broke and our health began to return, but most of our sanity did not. The skinless cult continued for a time, and we friends made it our mission to root them out wherever they might be, using the spell of recall we had learned from the fat French sorcerer. Eventually, Frank returned home to be with his wife. She knew he had arrived even before he left the ship. The others went their own way eventually, and I myself retired. All of the others perished. Anyone who left the presence of the simulacrum had died horribly. It is my hope in presenting these pages to the Arcane Society that should this damnable cult ever arise again, this will serve as a guide in dealing with them. Elizabeth Keith. On the last pages, 2 spells are presented, both labelled Ritual of Cleansing, but each a little different. There is a phonetic pronunciation guide in the margins of the first version. It is written, inaccurate version. This caused Makriat's spirit to return from beyond and possess Arthur Bowman.
Holy crap on a cracker.
Well, you were right. That was rather weird.
This says these are supposed to be real magic spells.
Well, I mean,
that
one of sounds like all the body parts turning up. That sounds like what's happening here. And we found this in next to the 2 bodies of Enzo and Oscar, and their mouths were gone.
That thing that lived, a thing in the case, the body-looking thing in the case.
Right, yeah.
That sounded a lot like that.
And the body's gone. Well, the whole case is gone.
And now Mr. Milton is gone too. Maybe there's not just one imposter on this trip.
Just check. Was there the spell that said that they could reveal him? That they all held hands and they recited it.
It says that there's this spell here, and if you just read out these couple of words and hold your hands out in front of you, and it recalls.
Of course, there were a lot more details in the text. I obviously didn't write the whole thing.
Yeah.
So anything that's in Horror on the Orient Express, the whole thing, is pretty much written in the book. The spell, what it reveals is that the Brotherhood of the Skin were able to exchange body parts, almost like surgery. So if their lungs wore out, then they could replace their lungs with a victim's lungs, and so forth. However, what this spell did is that if they had done any of those things, it reversed the spell, which would mean their stolen lungs, their stolen heart, their stolen intestines would just suddenly be ripped out of their body.
Can I suggest that we try this now and see if anyone who's in this room starts to feel uncomfortable and we can get rid of some of the bad guys.
I don't know. I think we should keep this in mind if John Milton ever shows back up.
Yeah, but what if he's not alone? Or what if he's dead?
Wow.
What if he's dead like the rest and we're sitting in here with,
Well, he was the complete body, wasn't he?
He was. Because all that's left is Gary with the head. Unless maybe we should go check the rooms again and see if someone else now has a head drawn under their bed, or maybe Gary has one now.
Oh, Gary already had one. You see?
Yeah, but what if they've drawn it back on?
Well, also remember, Mr. Gonzago is still around.
Yeah, and he had the torso.
He had the torso under his bed. So I think it might be wise to go ahead and take another look around. I see nothing wrong with that. But I also think we need to be in a position where we can access the correct spell should it become necessary. And if the simulacrum is destroyed, what is the purpose here?
Well, look, why don't we? Look, if we get some scrap paper, and I can copy down the spell.
So any of us can use it. Yeah.
And if we all make a copy of the. I mean, hell, it's a magic spell. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work, but given everything else I've seen,
crazy things have happened. I mean,
something's going to, something's going to happen.
Some other people, the people in this book were trapped in some kind of horrible dreamlike place. That's starting to sound like the predicament we've found ourselves in right now.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we try the spell?
I'm not so sure that statue's destroyed either.
And with that, let's leave it there. That's our cliffhanger. And next time we will continue.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Our players included Jeff Wilkins, Mick Swan, Morgan Llewellyn, Raymond Offord, and Zane Fleming, with myself as Keeper of the Secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good game.